Part 92. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 911. Chapter 911 Demonstrating Strength and Hiding a Knife Behind a Smile. What happened to their gang leader? Although it is an ancient organization, this is the first time Yu Lingfeng has heard the name Qinsha, so he cannot help but become somewhat interested in this killer organization. Their gang leader is a dandy young man. He is said to be very young. I don't know how old he is. But the previous gang leader is not dead, but he inexplicably handed over Qinsha to this ignorant boy, and then gradually ruined. Unlike the Shadow Hunter organization, which is still law-abiding, Qinsha has been engaged in murder and arson since its establishment. After all, Qinsha was originally a gangster, and both black and white were afraid of it. The existence of the current Qinsha, due to poor leadership, is a mixed bag of good and bad people. It is said that there are people who do everything for money. Anyway, it means that the current Qinsha is almost in decline, but inside, it should still be there are some masters. Like a storyteller, Officer Song gave Yu Lingfeng an emotional introduction to the history of Qinsha. Yu Lingfeng had no expression on his face the whole time, and Officer Song didn't know if he listened. I have fought against Qinsha's people before. A skinny camel is bigger than a horse. Although Qinsha is now completely inferior to the rising star Shadow Hunter, at least he used to be the leader. At the very least, he still has some stocks. There should be no shortage of masters, Officer Song then analyzed. At present, the only killer organization that can fight with you is the Shadow Hunter. The style of doing things is not like this. People who do this, that is to say, this thing is probably done by people from Qinsha. Yu Lingfeng listened to Officer Song's words without saying a word, just silently thinking about something. After spending a long summer vacation, Xia Ying finally entered the gate of Taito University again. Xia Ying stood at the gate and lamented how time passed so quickly, as if yesterday she was still staying up late fighting to be admitted to Taito University. And now, she is already a sophomore. Yu Lingfeng sent Xia Ying to the door. As always, there were countless attention and gifts around her. Xia Ying glanced sideways and saw the candid photographer in a relatively hidden corner. Xia Ying is already used to it. Since the last time she announced her relationship on Weibo, countless media have followed Xia Ying every day, just to be able to take pictures of Yu Lingfeng's true face, even if it is worse than that time the hot pot photo could be clearer. Yu Lingfeng followed Xia Ying's gaze and saw those annoying candid photographers. Yu Lingfeng calmly raised his finger at 11 Ju, who was standing aside. 11 Ju understood it and walked very skillfully in front of the candid photographers, touched their machines, and then, their expensive telephoto cameras, were all scrapped, leaving not a single photo. If you shoot next time, you will get the same end. 11 Ju warned with a smile. When 11 Ju smiled, his strength demonstrated what it means to hide a sword in a smile. The laughter made those people's hair stand on end. Who are you? Do you know who we are? Do you know how expensive my camera is? Such complaints are endless, but Zihu can resolve them one by one. I am Xia Ying's agent. Using other people's photos for commercial purposes without permission is an infringement of portrait rights. We are doing this in self-defense. If you still have any objections, we will have to go to court. After Zihu finished speaking, he bowed slowly. The whole set of movements is done smoothly and smoothly. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 912. Chapter 912, What kind of masterpiece did this encounter? Then, in the midst of stunned silence, 11 Ju showered a group of Mao Zedong with bright red flowers, and finally walked away. The group of people were all stunned. Damn it, what the did you encounter? So, soon, no one dared to take secret photos of Yu Lingfeng anymore, because the news that Xia Ying had a very capable agent spread like wildfire. After 11 Ju took care of everything, he walked towards Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng, with a flattering smile on his face that asked for praise. Well done, West Ju. Xia Ying extended her thumb towards 11 Ju. After there were no obstacles, Yu Lingfeng accompanied Xia Ying into the campus without any hindrance. Along the way, Yu Lingfeng gained a lot of fans with her eyebrows. Xia Ying looked at the obsessed eyes around her, thinking that the peach blossoms on Yu Lingfeng's journey were really blooming red and bright. Yu Lingfeng, do you think I am going to spread a rumor, for example, that you actually have big buck teeth, so you always wear a mask? Will this break those girls' illusions about you? Yu Lingfeng glanced at Xia Ying meaningfully. The buck teeth are still not lethal enough. After all, the teeth can be straightened. Xia Ying laughed softly. So you mean to say that your beauty cannot be hidden? That's what you said yourself. Yu Lingfeng smiled faintly. Huh? Yu Lingfeng, you have really become more and more naughty recently. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng were laughing and joking along the way, and they happened to meet Hanzija and Mu Niankai head-on. However, it looked like the two people were quarreling, because Xia Ying saw Mu Niankai puffing her cheeks and ignoring Hanzija, who was apologizing in a low voice. Mu Niankai. Xia Ying waved to Mu Niankai and said hello. When Mu Niankai saw Xia Ying, she immediately quickened her pace and walked towards Xia Ying angrily. Then she took Xia Ying's arm and said aggrievedly, Xia Ying, you came just in time. I want to go with you, don't go with that playboy. As Mu Niankai spoke, she turned back and glared at Hanzija. Hanzija, who was being served with blank eyes, spread his hands helplessly. When Xia Ying saw what Mu Niankai said about being a big radish, she thought it was Hanzija who was flirting with women again and had done something to offend Mu Niankai, so she angrily yelled at Hanzija. He said, Hey, Hanzija, why are you like this? Didn't you agree that you would change your bad habit of hooking up with others? How long has it been since you revealed your true colors again? Hanzija was helpless. I'm wronged, I obviously didn't do anything. Hanzija was going crazy. You didn't do anything, so why is Mu Niankai angry with you? You're still making excuses, Hanzija. I've already seen that woman fall in your arms, and you're reaching out to hug her. You're really... Mu Niankai was so angry that her eyes were red. Oh my god, this is not what you think. She fell over. I just helped her up without even touching her. How can this be called hugging her? Hanzija is about to collapse. Woman, you are really troublesome. She threw her down on purpose. Are you so stupid that you can't see it? Why did you help her? Mu Niankai was so angry that she was trembling when she spoke. Then how do I know if it's true or false? Hanzija glanced at Yu Lingfeng, who was standing aside. Brother Feng, you're the one to judge. Shouldn't I help a girl who fell? Well, it shouldn't be. Yu Lingfeng spoke calmly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 913. Chapter 913. A new roommate moved in. The smile on Hanzija's face froze. This was not the answer he wanted. This I. Hanzija is really speechless now. When Mu Niankai saw Yu Lingfeng say this, the balance in her heart suddenly became even more unbalanced. Hanzija, if you look at other people, they won't be like you. I think you are used to being a philanderer. Can you not change this problem? Mu Niankai put her hands on her hips and roared at Hanzija angrily. Hanzija felt like his head was big. Okay, ancestor, and, I know, I will definitely do it in the future. I won't even look at other women. I only have you in my eyes and heart. Is this okay? You don't be angry, okay? Hanzija. Well, and, what are your orders? Can you be more sincere? Mu Niankai was obviously dissatisfied with Hanzija's guarantee. She felt it was too perfunctory and was just said casually to prevent her from being angry. It was not from the bottom of her heart at all. She, Muniankai, would not accept the guarantee. She was not that easy to fool. Hanzaja, if you don't write a profound, 1,000-word apology for this matter to me, I will never forgive you. I will also tell my uncle and aunt that you bullied me. Muniankai said, turned around and ran away angrily. Hanzaja had no choice but to chase Muniankai while apologizing behind him. Auntie, I really know I was wrong, please don't be angry, okay, please don't complain to my parents. Let's discuss the 1,000 words, okay. I haven't finished the last one yet. Can it be 800 words this time? Xia Ying looked at the backs of two happy friends, Hanzaja and Muniankai, and couldn't help laughing. I really didn't expect that Muniankai was quite capable of subduing Hanzaja so quickly. You must know that Hanzaja used to write essays for the monthly exams in high school. He often let himself go, either leaving nothing to write, or just perfunctory. What he hated most was writing and writing, but here with Muniankai, casually, it was just a 1,000-word review, and as for Hanzaja, he had no choice but to write it. The girlfriend I have got back, I will love her to the end even if I cry. Let's go. Yu Lingfeng reached out and rubbed Xia Ying's hair, then headed towards the dormitory. Boys were not allowed to enter the girls' dormitory, so Yu Lingfeng sat quietly in the milk tea shop downstairs of the dormitory, waiting for Xia Ying to come down. When Xia Ying entered the dormitory, she saw that the bed where Su Ji had been occupied was occupied, so she casually asked Yeziaksun and Tanguo who were in the dormitory. Has a new roommate moved in? I'm not a new roommate, you know her, Muniankai. Yeziaksun replied to Xia Ying while coding. Tanguo was cleaning up her wardrobe. Xia Ying noticed that Tanguo bought several more Lolita skirts. The colorful skirt was so beautiful that Xia Ying couldn't help but look at it a few more times. Muniankai knew that there was a vacancy in our dormitory, so she quickly moved in. Tanguo added, picking up a dress and showing it to Xia Ying, Xia Ying, do you think this dress looks good? Uh-huh. Xia Ying nodded, your little skirts are very beautiful. Tanguo smiled sweetly and winked at Xia Ying, I designed this dress myself. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 914. Chapter 914, Nymphomania can also affect intelligence. It's very beautiful. Xia Ying smiled. After putting her things away, before she had time to pack them up, she wanted to fly down immediately when she thought that Yu Lingfeng was still waiting for her below. I'm going out first. If you want to eat anything, just tell me in the WeChat group later. Before Xia Ying finished speaking, she walked out on her own. Tanguo chuckled, Yu Lingfeng must be waiting for her below, otherwise she wouldn't be so anxious, right, Xiaoxun? Xiaoxun was very involved in coding, and without thinking deeply, he just said, yeah. Xiaoxun's new book will be released soon. During this period, Xiaoxun is busy finishing the old book and preparing a new book at the same time, so he is very busy. Xia Ying quickly ran downstairs, and when she came to the entrance of the milk tea shop, she found Yu Lingfeng and a group of girls surrounding Yu Lingfeng. This seems to have become a law. As long as Xia Ying is not around and Yu Lingfeng is alone, Yu Lingfeng is like a person covered in honey. It is very easy to attract bees and butterflies. Xia Ying had a dark face and leaned to the side, quietly watching how Yu Lingfeng planned to respond. Little brother, do you mind if I sit here? A girl with exquisite makeup, extraordinary temperament, fair skin, and beautiful skin leaned forward slightly and said to Yu Lingfeng. The girl seemed to be 100% confident in her appearance. As she was talking, she had already made plans for Yu Lingfeng to agree. The girl leaned forward slightly and had a tendency to sit down. However, just when the girl was about to sit down, Yu Lingfeng suddenly raised his head and met the girl's eyes coldly. Such a gaze seemed to come from a cold cellar that had been frozen for thousands of years. The moment his eyes fell on the girl, it gave the girl goosebumps all over her body. The girl was stunned, feeling that her legs were beginning to weaken. After all, she did not have the courage to sit down, but stood up, looking at Yu Lingfeng with fear and panic in her eyes. This man is so scary. This is the only thought in the minds of the girls around me at the moment. The look in his eyes just now made people dare not look at him. As if coming from the coldest abyss of Antarctica, one glance can freeze you to ice. Even if they wanted to strike up a conversation again, they still stopped there. They only dared to stand aside and secretly look at his every detail of beauty. Those elementary school girls must be freshmen who doesn't know that the handsome man wearing a mask is the boyfriend of our school beauty Xia Ying. It's ridiculous that they dare to go up and strike up a conversation with their looks. That is, most people have girlfriends, and their relationships are good, so does being a nymphomaniac also affect people's intelligence? It's a shame. Now you're really embarrassed. The real boss is watching from the sidelines. At this time, the senior students who were eating melon couldn't stand it anymore, so they deliberately raised their tone and said these words to the ears of the group of girls just now. When the girls heard this, their faces turned red, they were ashamed and angry, and finally they all left in embarrassment. When they walked to the door, they saw Xia Ying, and their hearts immediately trembled. So, has Xia Ying been watching? So, what they did just now? I'm sorry, Senior Xia Ying, we didn't know that was your boyfriend. The girl who just took the lead in talking to Yu Lingfeng bowed to Xia Ying and apologized. Xia Ying just glanced at her lightly, ignored her, and walked directly towards Yu Lingfeng. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 915. Chapter 915. What is the prestige of the captain? Then, the group of schoolgirls saw with their own eyes that Yu Lingfeng, who had just looked at them as cold as a cold lake, looked at Xia Ying, full of pampering. Even when they saw it, they felt there was a warmth in my heart, like the feeling of suddenly seeing a rainbow after a storm and the first ray of sunshine shining on my shoulders. Although they had never known their past before, just such a look made them completely aware of what they were doing just now. It was too stupid and overestimating their abilities. Their feelings were really textbook level. The group of girls left with satisfaction after eating a belly full of dog food. Your snowtop coffee. Yu Lingfeng handed a cup of snow-topped coffee in front of her to Xia Ying. Xia Ying caught it happily, and then said sweetly, Yu Lingfeng, you are really great now, you have everything the function of automatically pinching peach blossoms. Yu Lingfeng doesn't like contact with humans. When he first got together with Xia Ying, Yu Lingfeng was usually at a loss when someone bothered him. Because at that time, he didn't even want to look at them. Although now, Yu Lingfeng is still unwilling to come into contact with humans, but now he has mastered some basic skills, such as using his eyes to warn and so on. Yu Lingfeng smiled softly, then when will you practice such a skill? Xia Ying pursed her lips and said seriously, I will definitely be firm to you. Yu Lingfeng nodded, yes, I will remember it. Wow, so sweet. The girls who happened to hear it sighed in a low voice. While netizens on Weibo were still thinking about the sweet relationship between Xia Ying and her boyfriend, they, Xia Ying's classmates, had long been eating dog food. However, adhering to the principle of respect, none of them went online to break the news. If this happened, they would also encounter situations where the post could not be posted or disappeared inexplicably and was hacked by hackers. At this time, Hanzija and Muni Ankai. Hanzija finally caught up with Muni Ankai, bought food and drinks, and then recited the couple's code written by Muni Ankai, before Muni Ankai was half relieved. Hanzija, tell me, how many articles of the code have you violated? Muni Ankai crossed her arms and said angrily. Article 1, you are not allowed to look at other girls without Fairy Mu's consent. Article 6, you are not allowed to make Fairy Mew angry. Article 13, you are not allowed to touch anyone of the opposite who is not related by blood, unless Fairy Mew agrees. Article 13. Article 28, whatever Fairy Mew says is right, no refutation is allowed. If Fairy Mew is wrong, she must wait until she wakes up. Hanzaja filtered the rules through his mind several times as if he knew them by heart, and finally concluded, I violated 9 of them in total. Humph, you have some repentance, but I'm angry, Hanzaja, and the consequences will be serious. Muniankai rolled her eyes and said. Then how can you calm down? Hanzaja looked groveling, like a peasant who was exploited by landlords during the feudal period. Well, why did he, the dignified eldest young master of the Han family, fall to this level? Fortunately, the people from the football team are not here now. If they see their captain being bullied like this, where is his authority? Team leader dash. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 916. Chapter 916. The captain's wife looks so beautiful when she smiles. Hanzaja was stunned for a moment, then stood up straight, then cleared his throat, trying to cover up the embarrassing situation just now. At this time, the members of the football team had already walked up to Muniankai and Hanzaja. Although the two seemed to be harmonious on the surface, they had just seen clearly that their usually arrogant captain was bowing to Muniankai. Acknowledge your mistake humbly or apologize or something. He looked very groveling, which was different from what Hanzaja said to them. Hanzaja said that Muniankai would listen to him in everything, and Muniankai would not dare to go west when he told her the east. But, what was the situation just now? Well, why are you here? Hanzaja suppressed his somewhat flustered expression, glanced at everyone, clenched his hand into a fist and put it to his mouth, pretending to cough. Captain, today is the first day of school. Didn't you say you wanted to get together in the group before? The deputy captain said, and then secretly glanced at Muniankai. Hey, the captain's wife doesn't look right. Wait, what is that thing their captain is holding? Love, couple rules. What the is this? Hanzaja noticed that everyone was looking at the booklet in his hand, so he quickly hid it behind his back and his face began to darken. What? I just bought it and watched it, it's boring. Muniankai rolled her eyes gorgeously. Although she didn't say anything, everything was reflected in her eyes. Muniankai still gave Hanzaja some face, and did not get angry in front of his teammates, but just stood aside without saying a word. Team, Captain, I seem to see your name at the back. One of the team members spoke weakly, and pointed a trembling finger at the row of tiny characters at the back, which clearly read, Party A, Muniankai. Party B, Hanzaja. Hey, Captain, when did you co-author and publish a book behind our back? Give us the address. Where can I buy it? We also want to read it when we are bored, and by the way, help you boost sales. Hanzaja's face turned black when they were teased like this. It was over. Now, his reputation throughout his life was completely ruined. Captain's wife, has our captain made you angry? Seeing that you keep a straight face, you will grow old easily. Yes, Madam Captain, our captain is very honest now. After all, there are so many people and so many pairs of eyes on our football team, all helping you to supervise. Captain's wife, please calm down. If you need some private time to teach the captain a lesson, we'll just avoid it. Hanzaja started to vomit blood the more he listened. What kind of pig teammates are these guys? Is this still the good brother he once fought alongside? Why did they all defect to Muniankai's team? Then what else is he doing as a captain? Muniankai was amused by these cute boys. Ah, The captain's wife smiled. The captain's wife looks so beautiful when she smiles. I know that the captain's wife is not a petty girl. What should I do? When the captain's wife smiled, my heart stopped beating. Hansaja couldn't stand listening anymore, so he reached out and patted the boy who was flattering Rainbow on the back of his head. You brat, you can almost do it for me. I dare to take ideas from your sister-in-law. Are you tired of living? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 917. Chapter 917. Brother can only help you so far. As Hansaja spoke, he jumped up and gave the man a loud slap on the head. The pain was so painful that the man covered his head and screamed. Muniankai couldn't bear it any longer, holding her belly and giggling happily. After Hansaja finished teaching the man, he stopped and looked at Muniankai, who was smiling like a flower. He also smiled stupidly. Muniankai met Hansaja's eyes and suddenly smiled brightly. His face became gloomy, and then he turned around and ran away after saying humph from his nasal cavity. Captain, brothers can only help you here, the rest is up to you. The deputy team leader patted Hansaja on the shoulder and said meaningfully. Captain, let's wait for your good news in the restaurant, and we'll leave first. Hansaja was in a mess in the wind, but he still rushed to chase Muniankai. Hansaja coaxed Muniankai for a long time before she calmed down. When Muniankai returned to the dormitory in the evening, she was holding a large bouquet of flowers sent by Hansaja with a joyful smile on her face. Xia Ying looked up at Muniankai and joked, "So you guys have reconciled?" Muniankai smiled and responded to Xia Ying's words, then put the flowers aside, looked at Xia Ying with envy and said, Hansaja is not as obedient as you Ling Feng, that guy doesn't give anything all day long. I save trouble, and he is a person with a criminal record, so I have to be more careful so that the guy doesn't think about what's in the pot while eating the food in the bowl. Although Hansaja doesn't seem to be a decent person, of course he knows what he should do and what he shouldn't do. But you, on the other hand, are you being a little too strict? Xia Ying said with a smile. Where is it? You don't know how easy it is for that guy to attract bees and butterflies every time I leave for a while. Girls from all walks of life will come over to hook up with me. Muniankai crossed her hips as she spoke, looking very angry. Well, I actually understand this very well. Look, just say it. Please, next time you discuss your love experience, please consider the feelings of the two single dogs in our dormitory, right? Yeziaksun was typing words on the side. He was quite interested at first, but then he was interrupted by the glances and words from the two of them. The words he typed became the conversation between them. After hearing this, Muniankai scratched her head sheepishly and smiled, then moved closer to Yeziaksun and glanced at what Yeziaksun was typing on the computer. Muniankai was shocked. What the are those? Is Yeziaksun writing a novel? Wait a minute, that familiar name is so strange. Isn't that the novel that was very popular during this period? Although Muniankai doesn't usually read online articles, there are several friends in her circle of friends who love to read online articles. Muniankai herself knows about this novel, and she is often attracted by these few in her circle of friends. The names of the male and female protagonists flooded the screen. Muniankai also heard them say that the original author was still very young and still in school, so this book was actually written by Yeziaksun? The more Muniankai thought about it, the more incredible it became, but Yeziaksun, seeing that Muniankai had been staring at his computer screen for so long, probably guessed something, so he admitted gracefully, well, I am writing a web article. Muniankai took a breath, so you are that. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 918. Chapter 918 is that Xia ran so well connected? Yisun Yeziaksun added lightly when Muniankai was so surprised that she couldn't speak. I am Yisun. Oh my god, I always thought that the author of novels was very far away from me, especially someone with the status of Yisun. It's simply unbelievable. Muniankai covered her mouth in surprise, unable to believe what she heard. I wonder what people in her circle of friends would think if they knew that the novel author they followed every day was her roommate. I was shocked when I first learned about it. Tanguo smiled. You have to keep it a secret for me. Yeziaksun winked at Muniankai and said. Keep it secret, I will definitely keep it secret. Muniankai was still in shock from the news, and she was still confused when she nodded in agreement. By the way, do you have a novel to start filming? Muniankai asked again as if she thought of something. The Ghost Doctor Empress will be filmed soon. Yeziaksun said, as for the previous book The Great Doctor, I have never found a suitable male protagonist, so I have been delayed in filming, but the Empress has started filming a few days ago. Xia Ying seemed to think of something after listening to Yeziaksun's words, so she turned to look at Yeziaksun and asked, by the way, Xiaoxun, have you seen the heroine? It's the Xiaoran who looked like Xia Menjian from the side. Although she was there that day, she was always wearing a pair of sunglasses and a hat. She was surrounded by agents and assistants, and her face was not visible at all. However, judging from her posture, it seemed that her employer was quite famous. She was a newcomer. The team size is quite large, and the configurations are all top-notch. More importantly, the Ghost Doctor Empress is also a big IP. Many popular actresses have spotted this piece of cake, but she was a newcomer who has just emerged, has been robbed of resources. You should know that his leading actor is the popular actor Su Zimua. Xia Ying listened to Yeziaksun's analysis and nodded her head. Yeziaksun was right. A newcomer with an ordinary background would never be able to grab such good resources. As for Xia Menjian, Xia Ying was really, I can't imagine what kind of background she can create for herself in just a few years. Maybe, it's just like that. Xia Menjian must have drifted to other cities long ago. It must be very difficult to live alone and helpless. Hey, do you know? It is said that Xiaoran got the position of the heroine by relying on his skills in bed. At that time, it was said that the role was Yanniao, and they had already agreed. Who knew that a Xiaoran was parachuted in? Ahem, it's really a pity for Yanniao. After all, she is the most popular actress in the entertainment industry today, but she was bullied by a newcomer. Isn't that to say that Yanniao is not a good bird? It is said that the drama she became famous for was obtained by her own means. At that time, she was competing for the role in the hands of others. She was lucky enough to become an instant hit. Now, things have changed, and she has her own day. I don't think it's a pity for her at all. Anyway, those of us with no background and means can only support ourselves. Where did you hear this? Why did I hear that Xiaoran is a person with a gang background a few days ago? It is said that a boss of the investor is interested in Xiaoran and wants her to accompany him for drinks. As a result, she was taught a lesson that day, and now no one dares to touch her. Holy shit, it's really fake. Is the Xiaoran so well connected? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 919. Chapter 919, Look at Your Consciousness. Cough cough cough. At this time, a familiar coughing sound suddenly sounded from one of the bathrooms. The sound was just a reminder to the actresses who were fixing their makeup in front of the mirror while discussing gossip. The actresses were stunned when they heard this sudden voice. At this time, someone didn't know who whispered softly, "It seems to be Xiaoran." The next second, a woman wearing a leather jacket, a pair of 8-centimeter high heels, flaming red lips, and skin as thick as gel came out of the bathroom menacingly. The woman walked with her head held high, and every step she took on the ground was firm and powerful. She raised a pair of thin faces, and her indifferent eyes revealed a look of disdain and indifference to all living beings. Her whole body exuded the aura of a queen, which made the less famous female stars lower their heads silently. Some were intimidated by her powerful aura, and quietly took a few steps back, placing their hands in the middle of the sink. The position is reserved for women. Xiao Ran had a cold face. Facing the group of trembling women behind her, she seemed not to notice. She slowly took out lipstick from her brand name bag and carefully applied makeup on her lips. Wearing a tight-fitting leather jacket, the actresses could clearly see Xiao Ran's slim figure, her slender waist, and her long, straight legs. There was a sound of breathing behind them. They looked at each other and felt that she was very charming. Such a person really has the qualifications to be a heroine. She is extremely beautiful and has a proud figure. In reality, she is like a queen. I'm sorry, Sister Xiao Ran, we are just talking randomly. Yes, Sister Xiao Ran, you have a lot, please don't argue with us, okay? Sister Xiao Ran, we know we were wrong, and we will definitely not discuss you next time. Because who just said that Xiao Ran has a gangster background, women like the big bosses of the production company can't afford to offend them. Naturally, these unknown little stars who are struggling in the entertainment industry, can't afford to offend her. They still want to make a living in this circle, so they don't want to be banned for this. I had to apologize sincerely. After Xiao Ran put everything away, he lightly raised his delicately made-up face and looked through the mirror at the group of submissive women behind him, but he just curled his lips and showed a disdainful smile. First, I'm younger than you, and I've just turned 18. It's a bit inappropriate for you to call me sister. Secondly, how do I know if you will talk nonsense again? Do I believe any promises? After Xiao Ran finished speaking, he turned around gracefully, raised his slender and noble neck like a swan, and looked at everyone with an aggressive gaze. The group of actresses took a breath of cold air, thinking to themselves, as expected, this Xiao Ran is not someone to be trifled with. People with backgrounds like theirs are almost never good, and they have long been used to it. However, Xiao Ran said that she had just turned 18 years old. Is she actually so young? Then, how can you forgive us? It depends on your self-consciousness. As Xiao Ran spoke, he raised his lips and revealed a meaningful smile, then turned and left. The remaining female stars all looked at each other in stunned silence. Is this some subtext? But they didn't understand what Xiao Ran meant at all. Was she going to let them go, or was she going to ask them to do something? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 920. Chapter 920 is the threshold for a killer so low? Xiao Ran stepped on high heels and came to the dressing room. Her dressing room was private and she was the only one in it. The staff put on the ancient makeup she would need for filming later, while Xiao Ran lowered his head and scrolled through Weibo. Xia Ying's new song is still being discussed on Weibo. It has been so long and it is still hot. Searching above has been difficult. Just at this time, a staff member was listening to a song in his spare time. He accidentally played it for a while, and Xia Ying's heavenly singing voice came out from his mobile phone. Xiao Ran frowned, his expression changed suddenly, he glared at the man and said, "What's so good about this song? Let's change it to another one." Everyone was frightened by Xiao Ran's sudden roar. Although there were a lot of rebuttals in their hearts, they were already swallowed into their stomachs as soon as they reached their lips. What kind of temperament does the Xiao Ran have after getting along with him for this period of time? They couldn't be more clear. She has a very bad temper, which can be said to explode at the slightest moment, so they usually don't dare to provoke her. The staff member who was yelled at didn't say a word, silently changed a song, and then put on his headphones. It sounds so good, so what's going on with Xiao Ran? At this time, Xiao Ran's phone vibrated and received a text message, "It's urgent, I've arrived." Xiao Ran looked around, and then said to the staff in a cold voice, "You guys go out for a while, I have a private phone call to make." The staff left quickly without saying a word. At this time, a dark shadow jumped out of nowhere. After patting Xiao Ran on the shoulder, Xiao Ran immediately looked back at him. The man had lofty eyebrows and an extraordinary demeanor, but he had a dignified appearance. The man lay on the sofa, crossed his legs leisurely, and then met Xiao Ran's eyes. Xiao Ran narrowed her eyes slightly and looked at him. "You are finally willing to come out. I thought you had no face to see me." The man curled his lips and said, "As you said, why am I, a handsome man, too embarrassed to see you? How have you accomplished the things I asked you to do?" After all this time, she is still being admired by thousands of people outside with a complacent look. The man became serious and said angrily, "What do you mean? I almost drowned and couldn't come back. There is a top expert next to that woman, and I can't get close to her at all." Xiao Ran narrowed his eyes. "Who?" "I don't know, she's so good looking that even a man like me is attracted by her." Xiao Ran suddenly realized that it was Yu Lingfeng. "Then what were you doing before? So many unmarried women in the imperial capital went crazy at the engagement ceremony. You were so polite, why did you do these things? You didn't get any serious business done, but you made this matter quite big. Do you know that you are now a wanted criminal?" "I have been for a long time." The man's face was full of disapproval, then he remembered what he had done, scratched his head, and said with difficulty as if he didn't know how to speak, I'm a little face blind, besides, they are engaged. I don't know the time and place." Xiao Ran's eyes widened in anger. Facial blindness. So they dealt with those good-looking people who have rich families. How on earth does such a person become a killer? Is the threshold for killers so low now? Didn't I tell you her name? Xiao Ran was almost so angry that he vomited blood. End of this chapter.